In 1932, Australia, one man went to war with the ultimate enemy. Today, the Great Emu War on MKUSUAL.
Alright, screw it. We're doing a fun one. I know you hate the fun ones.
I hate fun, Dennis. You know me. Fun hater.
What a fun hater. There might even be a short one. I teased this. Go back, watch our Friendly Fire episode. We're doing the Great Emu War.
Okay.
When Australia lost a war to birds.
Oh, an emu is a terrifying adversary.
Chapter 1, The Battlefield, post-World War I Australia. After World War I, many Australian soldiers were given farmland to help them reintegrate into civilian life. Unfortunately, this land wasn't ideal for farming, actually. Dry, unforgiving, barely able to sustain wheat crops. It was more of a punishment than a reward. The situation turned desperate when in 1932, an army of roughly 20,000 emus invaded Western Australia's wheat fields. For the struggling farmers, these weren't just birds. They were feathery, long-legged plagues, tearing through crops with reckless abandon. Farmers watched helplessly as emus feasted on their livelihoods, leaving behind trampled fields and frustration. Frustrated farmers turned to the government for help, and the solution was military intervention. Enter Major J.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery.
Oh, fuck.
A career soldier, likely wondering what terrible decisions had led him to this moment. I want to get a picture of this.
Call it an airstrike.
But it's all like biplanes.
Yeah.
It's like dudes dressed like Snoopy.
Have to
Bombing emus.
Have to physically drop the bombs out the side of the plane.
Oh, this guy looked like a hard ass, dude. As hard ass as an Australian can look. Whoa, wait.
Dude. He Birdo fought all 20,000 birds by hand.
Here's a picture of him strangling an emu on November 2nd, 1932. Here it is colorized.
The History Channel colorized. This was going on at the exact same time.
Sorry. I did not expect, of all the things I thought I'd see, I did not expect an actual picture of a general strangling an emu. I'm sure he's just holding it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, The War Begins. In November 1932, Meredith and his men arrived with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Their mission was simple: eliminate the emus. But the emus had other plans, Nick. Their first encounter was on November 2nd, 1932. The soldiers set up an ambush near a group of 50 emus.
Sorry. This is so ridiculous. Before we get too far, the Lewis machine gun, a formidable machine gun, chambered in .303 British, or equivalent would be a .30-06 in American, which is a very powerful round.
We're going to spray these bastards.
Yes. It's you've probably seen it if you played like a World War II video game. It's the one with the big circle on top. That's like a Pan magazine. Anyway.
So the soldiers set up an ambush near a group of 50 emus. As soon as they opened fire, the birds scattered in all directions, moving unpredictably, making it nearly impossible to hit them. It turns out that shooting at panicked, zigzagging birds is harder than anyone thought.
I did look up the emu defense mechanism. They have strong legs, their speed and agility. They can run up to 30 miles an hour, and one of their characteristics is to zigzag to escape threats. So they just a predator is built to sprint in one direction and like pounce. That's their defense against that.
So what you're saying is an emu is God's answer to a machine gun?
Yeah.
Like if you were going to design an animal.
Yeah, to not be easy to shoot, it would be an emu. Which they didn't think this one all the way through. When you said he was an artillery commander, I thought they were just going to... That should have been there.
Well, you don't want to bomb the crops.
True, but...
You got to gun them down. And things got worse. There was a tactical blunder on November 4th, 1932. The troops mounted a machine gun on a truck, hoping to chase down the emus. So you think that would help?
This is the most hillbilly shit. This is how people where I'm from hunt coyotes. They get a flatbed truck. One of them drives. One of them stands in the back, and they just drive into a field and start blasting. Not everyone, but there are some.
But here's the problem with the Outback, Nick. The terrain was too rough. The trucks couldn't keep up. The emus, meanwhile, outran the soldiers with ease. Heavy resistance. November 8th, 1932. We are 6 days into this war. Israel would have taken the Sinai by now. After days of failed attempts, the soldiers had only managed to kill about 200 emus, despite expending thousands of rounds of ammunition. One soldier reportedly said the emus were, quote, tougher than tanks. Another allegedly claimed that if the army had been given the birds instead of rifles in World War I, they would have won in half the time. Chapter 3, The Defeat and Aftermath. By December, so a month, the government pulled the plug on the operation. Here's the final tally. Emu casualties, around or under 1,000. Shots fired, 10,000.
They used all of the ammo they brought.
Used all the ammo. And how many emus remained? Over 19,000. Verdict, Australian Army victory? Absolutely not. The emus had effectively won. They continued to ravage the crops, and farmers had to resort to other methods, like building fences. Well, what the... After expending 10,000 rounds of machine gun ammo, busting up all the trucks, and declaring emus the victor of a war, I guess we're just going to have to build fences to keep them out. The failed military campaign became an international embarrassment, and the government ultimately turned to bounty hunting as a more effective strategy. Major Meredith later remarked that the emus displayed incredible battlefield tactics, describing their ability to move as a well-coordinated guerrilla force. He may have meant it as a joke, but honestly, history suggests he wasn't wrong. Dude, you know what I picture when I picture him? I picture the crazy general from How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah.
I picture him like
They're eating our precious grains.
yes, but then he loses and he's like, I tell you what, Murdoch, those emus ain't nothing to sneeze at. You give me 1,000 emus, I could take Germany in a week.
That was a pretty good impression.
Thanks. Why did the emus win? Let's break down some of it. 1, speed and agility. They can outrun vehicles. Dispersed tactics. Instead of staying in one place, they naturally spread out.
This is probably studied in like Australian War College.
Oh, I'm sure there's been PhD.
Yeah.
Some reports claim that emus could actually take multiple bullets and keep running.
I would believe that. They're 6 feet tall. They only weigh...
Is Big Bird an emu?
I don't know. They don't weigh that much, which is probably why they're so fast. But they're like 120 pounds max. But they're like 6 feet tall.
This is from Google. Emus, it turns out, can absorb 12 bullets to the body with little immediate damage. One of the farmers during the Emu War stated the only way to kill an emu is to shoot it in the back of the head when its mouth is closed. Bro, I'm like scared of emus now.
Dude.
That's crazy. I want to see if I can find more quotes. They only killed 986 emus of over 20,000. The gun used fires 500 to 600 rounds per minute.
They had a pretty pretty robust round too. You would think that would be able to take it down, but this is.
The Emu War wasn't the last time the Australian Army faced off against wildlife. In 1992, an upsurge of feral cats in western Queensland threatened native fauna, including the letter-winged kite. So many cats were lounging in newly empty kite nests, Professor Jack Pettigrew of the University of Queensland reported. At night, their glittering eyes made the trees look like they'd been strung with Christmas lights. This is from ConnectSavannah.com. Pete Grew's team called quite a few cats, but he tells us things didn't get serious until the environmental minister saw a newspaper photo of two seemingly well-fed feral cats relaxing in nests. Cute kitties, many readers doubtlessly said, but the minister thought these brutes must be exterminated. The army bagged 423 felines. Why is it always the army?
Right, they don't have an animal control or
What's going on in Australia?
Department of Agriculture.
You're like, hey, my cat's stuck in a tree. We'll send out the army. That cat won't be in that tree for long.
Maybe they just chose the wrong guy, because he was probably using artillery tactics to fight these guerrilla warfare birds. I bet Crocodile Dundee could have got it done.
I just typed in what are some other embarrassing Australian stories. The beer pipeline disaster of 1954. During the construction of a new brewery in Melbourne, workers accidentally connected a beer pipeline to the wrong water main. This resulted in beer flowing through people's kitchen taps and surrounding areas. Some residents were overjoyed, while others were less than impressed.
I was going to say that wouldn't be a disaster for most Australians, I think.
Dude, can you imagine being like an alcoholic? An alcoholic Australian guy, it's a hot day, you wake up, your head hurts, you go to the sink, you turn on the faucet, and just like ice cold beer comes out of
Ice cold Foster's right out of the tap.
Foster's.
You
And
try
you're
to
like,
take a shower.
It'd be, yeah. Yeah, and you're like, I must be hallucinating. So you hop in the shower.
The guy who's trying to churn it around, he's like, smashes his last beer the night before. He's like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm getting my life together.
Hop in the
Wakes
beer
up.
shower. Wasted at 8 a.m.
God is testing me. They're just up to shenanigans down there.
In 1955, the Prime Minister of Australia set a world record at Oxford University by chugging a yard of beer faster than any human being alive.
Damn.
To this day, people still yell "skull" at him. There were wars against rabbits. There's that great video of the guy fighting the kangaroo. Well, what can I say, man? It's a short one, but I mean,
Hilarious.
I wanted to mix it up. There's just not a lot to say. It was a 3-week war with emus. I'm going to slow down the part of the episode where I couldn't stop laughing to 10 minutes. So it's just me going, ho, ho, ho.
I just like the hubris of this. Like, yeah, we'll just start blasting. Like, they didn't know anything about birds. Like,
But these are not birds.
well, but they were like local, right? Well, I guess no, because they were giving land away. So people were probably moving out.
Do you think the government would? Australia's pretty vast, though.
Yeah, I realized what I was saying.
I think they stick to their cities, man. That is
Yeah.
some rough. That's some rough terrain. You got yowies. You got, I mean,
Australia, yeah, not a place to be fucked with in terms of wildlife.
it's nothing like it.
This episode goes out to the emus.
Brought to you by the letter E. We love you.
We love you.
Thug Life Certified.